Like most major practical habits and character traits that human beings have developed throughout the duration of their life so far, quitting, or in this case, a quitter, has his or her own origin story. Some people might say that being a quitter or not a quitter is all inborn, that it's a quality that is just cherry-picked by God and randomly instilled to those who are unlucky as a form of predisposed reaction for us to respond to whenever we face or felt a significant amount of circumstantial distress. That might play some minor role in its genesis, but if we're honest, again, like most practical habits and traits, it's mostly having to do with our environments and our conditionings during our upbringings. In case of the quitter or quitters, during their childhood, first and foremost, they severely lack the much-needed optimistic or enthusiastic support and encouragement from their parents. Whatever endeavors they've developed a profound level of interest and curiosity in, their pessimistic and defeatist parents always stop them on their tracks and tell them to turn back, mostly through excessive, even borderline unnecessary, despondent and consequential thinking. Like, for example, if one wants to try out martial arts, their parents would say something like, "You're only going to hurt yourself doing such things," or "It's too hard and brutal for someone like you." Whenever there are major difficulties and adversities, their parents always tell them to concede or let go of their persistence and discourage them from further trying through disheartening words such as, "You're not going to make it, son," or "You're just not cut out for this, dear." This form of conditioning from their overly protective and controlling parents pretty much instill the foundational narrative that the quitter will subconsciously abide by. By default, the quitter will resort towards yielding and forfeiting as the quote-unquote right or optimal choice for any adversity that he or she faces. The lack of experience within struggles, failures, and eventual prevailing or triumphs during one's upbringings will result in one's hesitancy, reluctance, and lack of optimism to even try and push themselves to overcome his or her struggles, and will become extremely short-sighted when pursuing goals and objectives they secretly desire. Their lack of support and encouragement from their parents will also result in them secretly and desperately hoping that people would approve of them and validate them through their quote-unquote good deeds of extensive people-pleasing. And speaking of short-sightedness, we've come to the second point, which is, due to their short-sightedness or lack of training or experience in far-sighted perspectives, they will lack the ability to vividly form conceivable clarity in visualizing their goals, and carefully compartmentalize the necessary steps or game plan for both sooner and later circumstances to eventually get there. Because, obviously for everyone, without a clear plan or at least some form of tangible or plausible pathways to follow and adhere to, we will all lack the confidence and assurance to even start. Most of the time, you'll only end up being able to and somewhat feeling excited through solely visualizing the end goal and pretentiously experiencing the pleasures or rewards of it, but absolutely have no idea of what to do next, thus turning your imaginary and short-lived enthusiasm into a whirlwind of anxiety, uncertainty, dread, and eventually pessimistic despair. And again, due to a quitter's short-sightedness and the default resort to yielding, they will inevitably and miserably let themselves flow with the momentum of their negative thoughts and emotions, without even considering the future consequences of their actions, or in this case, inaction, which are the sense of emptiness and purposelessness. A quitter's detrimental lack of capacity in persistence, grit, and tenacity will inevitably culminate in one's own shortage or even complete absence of tangible and noticeable progress or results in any endeavor. And without any vivid indication of them moving any closer towards their goals and desires, or rather extensively stagnating or regressing further away from their goals and desires, they will eventually lose grasp of their vision completely and any form of hopes and aspirations to even bring themselves to think otherwise, which will then ultimately transform their mental narrative completely into an existential nihilistic perspective, where they will consider every form of struggle, adversity, challenges, or even daily tasks as a pointless and meaningless attempt to endure for every single person that exists in this world, shifting the blame entirely from their own incapability to turn thoughts into actions and actions into results, towards the seemingly miserable and unfortunate occurrence that is the human life or existence, revoltingly discrediting other people's achievements and loathingly discouraging other people's efforts towards achieving their desires to desperately cope for their own self-imposed insignificance and irrelevancy, leaving them to become empty shells of once-was individuals that are full of potentials to be discovered. Now, I want to utilize the last part of this video to say something important. For those of you who can resonate significantly through all I've just said and currently are in the state and condition that I've just described, i.e. being a quitter, the true definition of a quote-unquote pointless and meaningless life is simply existing. And that is you right now, just existing and letting life take you wherever it wants, like a speck of dust randomly drifting in the wind. Life is meant to be lived, and when I say lived, I mean to be explored, experienced, expanded, evolved, and enjoyed with the people you value and care about. A meaningful life or a fulfilled life is all about doing all that you want to do and can possibly do to make it worthwhile as much as possible. And all of those takes effort to eventually be made palpable. Everything in life is deserved and earned, not given and promised. It's ultimately a choice to make. Everyone has their own share of misfortunes, but what doesn't kill you can be transformed into something that further excels you. As long as you exist, it's never entirely pointless. Your life, it doesn't always have to be grand or extravagant in actuality. It can be as simple and conventional as you want it to be. As in death, it only needs for you to be able to answer one question in the end. Have you done anything that is sincerely, purposefully, and objectively right after all this time? Thank you for watching.